And I actually, okay, so here's a perfect example. This one, we got medical records from this Dr. Slotowinsk, and you can see the order was received. They're, working on it, trying to get it, and then they got the records, right? And then here I come, and they reopened it for missing records. So they refaxed the request, and they went back to the doctor's office and said any and all colonoscopies completed within the last 5 years. And here they're following up, this was just a couple days ago, and here on the 24th, which was today, they'll check their missing records on file. They left their telephone number and everything, and they'll call back on the 25th to find out where they are on the request. See how I didn't reorder it? It's not a brand new order. They just basically simply reopened this order for missing records. Okay?
Okay.
That's all they're doing. Here's a good example too. Here's another one. Actually, this client, his name's Joseph Gordon. He's a doctor. Oh, doctors, they're so fun. Did you know doctors, when they see doctors, they don't keep medical records on each other? Do you know how fun that is to try to get medical records on the doctor that sees doctors, and they don't keep notes of anything and anything that they do, including colonoscopies? So, and you will have that. Doctors, they're all friends with each other and everything because they're all in the same type of business, and they see each other and they prescribe each other medicine because this doctor, Dr. Joseph Gordon, cannot prescribe himself his own medication. So instead, he goes to Dr. Arthur Gordon, who, guess what, is his daddy. Daddy Dr. Gordon. Daddy Dr. Gordon doesn't have any medical records on his son. So they came back, we did the request and everything, and they came back completed with no records. So they're saying that they submitted our request, they checked, they verified by the insured's name, date of birth, social. There are no medical records on Joseph Gordon. Okay? So what we did was we went back to the underwriter at the carrier, and they understand, they know this is a common thing, that doctors do not keep medical records on each other. And actually what they did was they had me go back and say, and get this missing colonoscopy report, because colonoscopy, if you're being referred for a special testing and you don't get it done, that's a big thing. That's a big no-no. They want to see people are staying healthy and keep taking care of themselves and having recommended testing. Remember, we talked about this the last couple meetings, that, if a doctor refers you to have some type of special testing or a colonoscopy because there's a strong family history of colon cancer in your family and you don't do it, the carrier has every right to postpone the case, meaning to put it on hold until the insured or the patient has this colonoscopy completed. Okay?
Okay.
So you got to kind of work with what you've got. In this situation where it's a doctor with a doctor and it's, father, son, son, father, we worked around it. The underwriters understand, and what they decided to do was, because it recommended from this doctor, believe it or not, they had records on him, that he had this colonoscopy done, that they would be willing to waive this request from Dr. Gordon as long as I got them this colonoscopy. So what I did was, not only did I request these missing medical records from this doctor, but I also went back to the agent and I told them what I was doing, that I requested the missing records, but I also suggested, knowing that he's a doctor, I asked her to ask the client, the patient, this Joseph Gordon, if he had a copy of his colonoscopy. Because usually, doctors, they do that. They keep copies of their own testing. So, they know how to interpret it. They know how to read it. And meanwhile, while I'm waiting for her to get back to me, I'm still being proactive because I still sent the request to get a copy of this colonoscopy. So things are still moving on the case. It's not at a standstill or I'm waiting for the agent to get back to me. And sure enough, actually, what happened was the very next day, I got the colonoscopy from the client. He actually faxed it to me. And you're probably wondering, hey, Jolie, why didn't you close out this request for missing records? Well, that's because the pathology report that was with this colonoscopy is kind of, it didn't seem all crystal clear. It might be that there's a couple pages missing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until this, hopefully I'm waiting for an approval. Hopefully this case test gets approved, and then I'll be able to close out this request. This is my backup door, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that make sense, Lori?
Yes.
I want to make sure I'm explaining it. It makes good sense in my head, but, you know, it's all wood. It's all wood in the head. All right. So anyways, on these requests, when you order medical records, you just need you don't need to complete all this information. Yes, I put the agent's name, but I don't put the agent ID, which is, you know, the appointment number that the agent's with the carrier that, you know, I pick, whoever the carrier is. I don't put this. I don't put their phone number. I don't want them calling my agent. I don't want them emailing my agent. The only time an underwriter's name is needed if it's some kind of special circumstance, but normally I would say 99.99999% of the time I don't put the underwriter's name, phone number. I put the policy number. This is really important if you have it. If you have it, put it, because it's for billing purposes, and your GA accounting department will thank you tremendously, because you can imagine how many bills are sent to the general agent where they cannot track bills to match up to the carrier to pay. So they have somebody at your general agency having to go through these to try to find policy numbers for billing purposes. Face amount, I definitely put. Obviously, the insured's name, date of birth. You always want to put the name, date of birth, and social. Kaiser number is their medical records number if they're with Kaiser. I never put the telephone number. They have no reason to reach out. This Express Imaging has no reason to be reaching out to the client. None of that. This is where I would download or upload the authorization. You know, I saved it on my desktop, and I would just, you know, upload it, download it, whatever it is, to here. And then this is the doctor information, the name. As much as this information that you can pull, lots of times I will Google, like what they say, when in doubt, Google. I will compare it to what's on the exam as far as the telephone number and the street address, because lots of times, you know, the patient doesn't know the exact zip code or, you know, street address. They don't know if it's a drive or a court or whatever the situation. The more information I give Express Imaging on the doctor, the better. The chances that they will find the medical records, and they won't be coming to me and asking me for additional stuff. So it actually saves you more headache doing it ahead of time than having to deal with it down the road.
Can you show them how to search for that info here?
Yeah. So you can put, they start building a clientele in their system. Express Imaging has been around for a long time. So if I only know that her name is Dr. Hurd,